He held his breath. Down in the reinforced basement, Dr. Arinze Cole pressed his back against the cold steel door, listening to the destruction happening above him. Upstairs, the sound was terrifying. They were tearing his house apart, glass shattering, furniture being overturned, heavy military-grade boots stomping across the hardwood floors of the master bedroom. These weren't common burglars looking for jewelry or cash. These were corporate cleaners, ghosts hired by powerful men to erase problems. And right now, the problem was Arinze. They were looking for the one thing he possessed that was worth more than the house itself: the formula. Arinze's hand trembled as he clutched the small, silver encrypted USB drive hanging around his neck. It was cold against his skin, but it felt heavy, heavier than lead. That tiny piece of metal contained the data that could save millions of lives. Or, if found by the men upstairs, it would generate billions in profit for a corrupt board of directors. He could end this nightmare instantly. He knew that. He could simply unlock the door, walk upstairs with his hands up, and hand over the drive. They wouldn't kill him if he gave them what they wanted. He could save his life. He could save his house. But he couldn't move. Because 48 hours ago, the God of the universe had given him a direct order. It was an order that defied all human logic, an instruction that had already cost him his career, his reputation, and his friends. And now, as the footsteps stopped directly above his head, it seemed about to cost him his life. God had said, "Keep your mouth shut." But to understand why a world-renowned scientist, a man who had been on the cover of Time magazine, was hiding in his own basement like a fugitive, we have to go back 3 days. Tuesday, 3 a.m., London. The rain was hammering against the glass walls of the Aegis Bio-Research Facility. Inside, Dr. Arinze Cole was staring at failure. The lab was silent, save for the hum of the cryo-freezers. Arinze rubbed his eyes, which were red and stinging from lack of sleep. As the lead virologist, he carried the weight of the world on his shoulders. A new pathogen was on the horizon, and Aegis Bio had burned through $2 billion of investor money waiting for him to find the Holy Grail, a universal antiviral cure. He had nothing. The simulations kept failing. The molecules wouldn't bond. And earlier that afternoon, the chairman of the board had stormed into the lab with a face like thunder. The ultimatum was brutal. "You have 48 hours, Dr. Cole. Give us a patentable formula, or we pull the plug. And if we pull the plug, we destroy your career. You'll never work in science again." Arinze looked at the empty coffee cup on his desk. He looked at the photo of his late father, a pastor who had always told him that science was just another way to discover God's glory. But right now, Arinze didn't feel glory. He felt shame. Exhausted, defeated, Arinze pushed his chair back and did the only thing he had left. He didn't check the data again. He didn't call his team. He slid off his chair onto the cold linoleum floor. "Lord," he whispered into the sterile silence, "I have used all my intelligence. I have used all my resources. I am at the end of my rope. If you don't speak, this project dies, and I die with it." He closed his eyes, expecting silence. He expected the hum of the refrigerator. Instead, it happened. It didn't come as a voice in the room. It was a download into his spirit, a sudden, sharp clarity that washed over him like cool water. In his mind's eye, he didn't see a burning bush. He saw a protein chain. He saw a complex molecular structure twisting and folding, but it was backward. It defied every rule of modern virology. The world said, "Cool it down." The spirit whispered, "Heat it up." Arinze scrambled to his feet, his heart pounding against his ribs. He grabbed his digital sketch pad. His hands were shaking so hard he could barely hold the stylus. He drew the structure he saw in the vision. He ran the simulation on the main server. The progress bar loaded. 20%, 50%, 90%. Ping. Stability. 100%. Efficacy. 100%. Toxicity. 0%. He stared at the screen, mouth open. He had done it. He hadn't just found a treatment. He had found the cure. This wasn't just a breakthrough. It was a revolution. It was worth trillions. It would secure his legacy forever. Adrenaline flooded his system. He grabbed his smartphone. He needed to tell someone. He needed to shout it from the rooftops. He dialed Lucas, his research partner and best friend for 15 years. Lucas would understand. Lucas would know how to present this to the board to save their jobs. The phone rang once. It rang twice. Arinze opened his mouth to leave a breathless voicemail. Arinze, stop. The impression on his heart was so heavy it felt like a physical hand pressing down on his chest. It wasn't fear. It was authority. Seal your lips. This is for your ears only. Keep it to yourself. Arinze froze, the phone hovering by his ear. He argued back in his spirit. But Lord, you don't understand. The deadline. The board meets in 2 days. If I walk into that meeting empty-handed, they will destroy me. They will sue me. I have to tell Lucas. Lucas is on my side. Silence is your shield. The enemy is listening. Speak, and you lose it all. The phone was still ringing. Ring, ring. Arinze looked at the screen. Lucas's face was smiling back at him in the contact photo. To hang up now felt like betrayal. To keep this secret felt like madness. But Arinze remembered the scripture. The secret of the Lord is with them that fear him. With trembling fingers, he ended the call. He took the data, encrypted it, and moved it onto a single offline USB drive. Then, he did the unthinkable. He wiped the server. He deleted the simulation logs. He cleaned the cache. He walked out of the lab with the greatest scientific discovery of the century hanging around his neck. And he couldn't tell a soul. The next 48 hours were a slow-motion car crash. The boardroom was cold, smelling of stale coffee and aggression. 12 men and women in expensive suits sat around the long mahogany table. At the head sat the chairman, a man who cared more about stock prices than human lives. Dr. Cole, the chairman sneered, tapping a gold pen against the table. We have been patient. We have been generous. Do you have the formula, or are we shutting down this division? Arinze sat there. He could feel the USB drive against his chest. One sentence. That's all it would take. I have it. It's right here. The room would erupt in applause. The chairman would shake his hand. His stock options would vest instantly. He opened his mouth. Silence, the spirit warned. Arinze swallowed. He looked the chairman in the eye. I have made progress, but I need more time. It is not ready. Time? The chairman slammed his hand on the table. We don't pay you for time, Dr. Cole. We pay you for results. You are a fraud. Arinze, wait! It was Lucas. His partner stood up from the side of the table, looking panicked. Lucas looked at Arinze, his eyes pleading. Arinze, tell them. I saw the power spikes in the lab on Tuesday night. I know you ran a simulation. Don't let them fire us. Tell them what you found. Arinze looked at Lucas. In that moment, the Holy Spirit opened his eyes. He saw the desperation in Lucas's face, but he also saw something else. Greed. Lucas wasn't trying to save lives. He was trying to save his bonus. If Arinze admitted the drive existed now, it would become company property. The chairman would seize it, patent it, and sell the cure for $5,000 a dose. The poor would die while Aegis Bio got rich. Arinze realized why God had told him to stay quiet. It wasn't to test him. It was to protect the cure from the wolves. "I have nothing to say," Arinze said quietly. "Then get out!" the chairman screamed. "You're fired! Security, escort him out!" He lost his job. He lost his reputation. He walked out of that building a disgraced failure. But he was alive. Until tonight. Which brings us back to the basement. Arinze cringed as he heard the drilling sound upstairs. The mercenaries had given up on finding the drive in the office. Now they were frustrated. "It's not here!" a rough voice shouted from the kitchen. "The servers are clean. The cloud is empty. The guy really didn't have it." "He must have told someone," the leader barked. "What about the partner, Lucas?" "We tapped Lucas's phone," the voice replied. "Lucas is crying to his wife that Arinze is a washed-up failure. He truly believes Arinze has nothing. If Arinze had the cure, he would have told his best friend." In the dark panic room, tears streamed down Arinze's face. He slid down the door until he hit the floor. The realization hit him with the force of a revelation. If he had told Lucas, if he had whispered it to just one person, the mercenaries wouldn't be leaving empty-handed. They would know the drive existed. They would know Arinze had it, and they would currently be drilling through the basement door to put a bullet in his head and take it. Because he kept his mouth shut, the enemy thought he was a failure. And because they thought he was a failure, they stopped looking. His silence hadn't ruined him. His silence had made him invisible. And his invisibility had saved his life. The front door slammed shut, an engine revved outside, and the mercenaries drove away into the night. Arinze let out a long, shaky breath. He clutched the drive. The secret was safe. 6 months later, the World Health Summit in Geneva. The cameras were flashing. Arinze walked onto the stage. He wasn't wearing a lab coat with the Aegis Bio logo. He was wearing a simple suit, funded by his own savings. He stood before the microphone, a free man. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, holding up a small vial. "This is the cure. I developed it independently. It belongs to no corporation. It belongs to the world." The news broke the internet. Aegis Bio's stock crashed. The chairman was investigated, but Arinze was untouchable. He had bypassed the system because he refused to play by their rules. He won, not because he was the loudest, but because he knew the power of a closed mouth. Listen to me closely. We live in a culture of oversharing. We post our plans on Instagram, we tell our dreams to frenemies, and we announce our victories before the battle is even won. But Dr. Arinze learned the lesson of Amos 3:7. God reveals his secrets to his servants, but he expects them to keep them. Your mouth can be the leak that sinks your ship. God keeps secrets not to hurt you, but to hide you. If the devil knew exactly what God was preparing in your life, he would set a trap for it. But he can't trap what he can't see. What is God telling you to keep quiet about right now? That business idea? That new relationship? That next big move? Maybe it's not time to post it. Maybe it's time to protect it. Stop giving the devil information he doesn't have. Let them guess while you build in the dark, so you can shine in the light. If you are ready to walk in divine wisdom, I want you to type "Silence is my shield" in the comments below. And subscribe to this channel. We don't just tell stories. We teach you how to win the spiritual battles of life. I'm praying for you. Now go and keep it to yourself.